So, what do you turn to when things get too hard? Is it shopping, scrolling, binging, overgiving, overeating? Tell me below. There's no shame, just curiosity. And if this resonated, give it a like and share it with someone who distracts their way through life. Hey, this is Francisca, and welcome to my mid-crisis life and today's episode of Mindset Monday. So, in Crisis Confessionals this week, I was talking a lot about what I do during those periods of contraction, what I do when I'm kind of having those feeling that things are just kind of imploding and can't be out there in the world and things don't feel good. And I was talking about how a lot of the time I like buy stuff, I buy big, massive holidays so that I can escape. Or more recently, I just kind of like watched stuff on the TV. I binge watch things, and particularly I binge watch rom-coms, and I was talking about how I kind of got a little bit obsessed with Twilight, and it's happened so many times with so many different things, right? And it got me to thinking about how a lot of what I was talking about, I recognize as being just kind of like coping mechanisms, obviously, but coping mechanisms through particularly using like distraction techniques. And I was thinking about like how often we as people use distraction as a coping mechanism, right? And I was thinking about like, when I was thinking about it, I got this image of like like a spider crawling on someone or like a scorpion crawling on someone, and someone seeing it, like your friends are like, if you saw a scorpion crawling on your friend, you wouldn't be like, hey, look at that scorpion. You'd be like, hey, listen, just look at me. Yeah. Stay really still. Let me help you out. Like, and it got me to thinking about like like when you see all those videos of like doctors giving injections to babies, and they're all like, oh, boop, 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 like putting that baby's attention absolutely everywhere other than like where they're shoving that needle. Like, and it made me think about like how often we say to people, we say to each other, hey, listen, don't look right now, but, right? Because we're trying to like shield ourselves from something painful, something harmful, something scary, something dangerous, you know? I think about the amount of people that I know personally and the amount of people that I interview professionally who tell me that when they're upset, that when they're stressed, that when there's difficult things going on, they distract themselves. They think about something else. They do something else. I go for a walk. I go and listen to music or whatever it might be. And in some ways, this is healthy, but in other ways, really, actually, is it solving the problem, or is it kind of like delaying the problem? You know? So yeah, I think that distraction really is something that we do to avoid fearful things, dangerous things, things that feel unsafe, right? And the reason why I think it can be dangerous is because if we employ it too much or for too long, in the way that I was talking about yesterday, it's kind of like we can find ourselves living in a fantasy. We can find ourselves living in like a delusion, right? But I think that for me, I know that when I do that, I'm looking for something, right? So I think it's like this interplay, this balance between avoidance of something, and then it's like, what do we avoid it with? Like, what do we turn to in order to fill that gap, in order to make us feel better? And I know for me, I watch all of these rom-coms because I want to feel love, I want to feel belonging, I want to feel protection. Like, that's really what I'm longing for. But I think what I'm learning is that it's important for me to focus on what I want, what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to fulfill, rather than looking at it as lack, rather than looking at it as something that I'm missing, right? And I wonder if you can think about what it is that you're looking for during these periods if you use distraction as a technique to avoid pain. So it's like, okay, do you like just immediately start scrolling on social media? What does that mean? Are you maybe trying to feel a part of something? Are you trying to get that kind of like instant gratification, like people like me? Are you trying to make positive or negative comparisons to your own life, depending on where you're at and how you feel, right? Do you start maybe overworking? Are you looking for like safety, financial safety? Are you looking for stability? Like, are you looking for responsibility? Like, do you want to feel important? Like, is that maybe why you do it? Or like me, do you start binge watching stuff? Like, are you like me, avoiding your own drama by immersing yourself in someone else's drama, by being someone else, by embodying somebody else's life, right? Maybe you start like over giving, being a people pleaser, to like focus on other people's needs rather than your own, so that you don't have to deal with your own stuff, or so that you can feel needed, so you can feel kind of like indisposable to the people that are around you, or so you can get that kind of like external validation, right? These are just a couple of examples of the way that we distract ourselves and the way that we avoid what's going on for a more preferable scenario, even if that scenario doesn't feel preferable. So here's a little task. How dare they be playing and having fun outside my house while I'm trying to make recordings. Anyway, so here's a little task that I would invite you to try out if you feel like this is something that you do. First things first, I think it's really important to identify what are your go-to behaviors. What is the thing that you do when you're avoiding something that you don't want to deal with, whether it's physical or emotional, psychological, or whatever it might be, right? And then I think it's important, once you know what it is that you go to, what is it that I do? Like, what is my kind of coping mechanism, my distraction technique? It's important to then look at, okay, what might it be that I'm really longing for in this moment? Why do I choose that as opposed to the myriad of millions of different things that I could do in this moment in time? What is it that I'm searching for, right? What am I longing for? And then from that, I think that there's an ability to kind of spot the pattern. You can then start seeing, oh, okay, right, every time that I feel this way, I turn to this. And actually, really what I'm searching for is this, right? And then from you can spot the pattern, it's really easy to make more of like a plan in terms of like, okay, well, what do I want to do now moving forward? What do I want to change? How can I see my triggers? Like, is there something that I can do to kind of just disrupt that cycle in that moment? Can I be a little bit kinder to myself while I'm doing it? Can I ask for my needs to be met a little bit more, right? There's like all these different things that maybe you could do, that you could just tweak little bit by little bit to help you in this way. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Tune in on Thursday for Chrysalis tools. We're going to do like a little practice that's going to help maybe to help you to identify some of these things, because if you can't do that, then it's really hard to make a plan. It's really hard to understand anything. It's really hard to see any patterns, right? So yeah, tune in on Thursday. Okay, that's it.
Have you ever found yourself 8 hours deep in a Netflix series and then realized it wasn't even that good? Yeah, me too. But what if that behavior was actually trying to tell you something?